Hello everyone, my name is Jaybird and welcome back to AIRIS. Without any further ado, let's get right back to where we left off last time. Yeah.
Alia, what are you doing?
At Teddy's growl, I freeze in my tracks, turning around with a sheepish smile. Nothing?
You were going to sneak out to throw yourself headfirst into some sort of trouble again, weren't you?
I was not trying to get myself into trouble. I can't talk today. I was not trying to get myself into trouble, Teddy. Jeez. I'm just bored of being stuck at home all day. Teddy crosses her arms, baring her teeth in a snarl that I would have found fearsome if not for the fact that I've raised her since she was a mere tiny cub.
Medic's orders. You need to rest. Get back in bed.
I'm fine, Teddy. Lyle's magic patched me completely. I feel absolutely fine. Look! I hop around, flapping my arms like a chicken to prove that my injuries are gone. Teddy fails to suppress a smile, but her expression returns to being solemn and stern after a second.
No. Did you forget how you fainted last night when you got out of bed on your own?
Only for a few minutes. It wasn't even due to my injuries. I just had a bad headache. I hope Teddy doesn't notice the way my expression had changed and my eyes shifted away in guilt. Now is not the time to tell her about the blackouts. And how I suspect my sudden passing out last night was another small blackout, despite my best attempts to prevent it from happening and clinging on to consciousness even though through a splitting headache.
All the more reason for you to rest in bed.
Teddy! It's been barely a day and I'm already bored out of my mind. Do you want me to die of boredom instead of physical injuries? Our argument is interrupted by a sudden knock at the door. Eager at the prospect of a visitor to cure my boredom temporarily, I leap towards the door to pull it open. Welcome to our humble abode. How may I help you? Everett chuckles at my greeting and lets me drag her into the house, holding tightly to the giant basket in her arms. I can see someone is feeling much better this morning. I am. Please save me from the bear warden. Everett sets the basket down on the table, grinning in response at me. She opens her mouth to reply, but her words are lost on my ears as attention is drawn to the gem at her collar that was previously hidden by the basket in her hands. Oh, yeah, I totally see that. It's kind of shining like that. Yeah. Okay. To be more precise, the glowing gem at her collar. Yes. Oh, some shit's going down apparently. Evra's voice trails off when she notices I'm not even listening to her, and she noticeably stiffens, her eyes widening to the size of saucers when she realizes what my gaze is on. Neither of us speak for a long moment, and I can feel Teddy looking between the two of us in confusion.
What? Are you two staring at Why are you two staring at each other like that? Is it a staring contest?
Ignoring Teddy's innocent remark, I lift my hand to point at Everett's collar, embarrassed to see that the trembles running up and down my arm. Evie? What is that? Is it just me, or is your brooch glowing? A nervous chuckle leaves Ever's mouth. What have I ever called her Evie? And her voice sounds like a little strangled when she speaks. Glowing? What are you talking about? Of course not. Maybe you should go back to bed to rest. Don't lie to me, Evera. Evera's throat convulses as she swallows hard, and she ducks her head, avoiding my eyes. Okay, you're right. There's no point in covering it up anymore. This is what I wanted to talk to you about anyway. Oh, what is this? I'm getting excited. I'm on the edge of my seat. Actually, not really, but let me fix that. Okay, now I'm on the edge of my seat. Kind of uncomfortable, but you know what? I'm ready. My body is ready. What are you talking about? What's going on, Evra? Evra doesn't reply, merely reaching out to pet Teddy on her head before asking Teddy give us a moment to give us a moment alone. Teddy glances up at me in confusion, waiting for my response, and after a moment of hesitation, I jerk my head in a small nod. Teddy gives us one last suspicious glance before scampering out of the room, muttering under her breath about secrets and unfairness. Now, can you explain properly? It's just the two of us. Evra closes her eyes, rubbing at her forehead. She collapses on the couch, patting the seat next to her as an invitation. I settle down on the couch, still able to tear my eyes away from the soft, pulsing light emitting from her brooch. It's a long story. I might sound crazy. You might not believe me at all. At the pained look on Evra's face, I can't resist reaching out to touch her arm in reassurance. I promise, no matter what you tell me, I'll believe you. Instead of making her feel better as I'd hoped, Evra's face contorts further and she lets out a frustrated groan. Why are you so nice to me, Alia? Why do you trust me? Because you're one of my closest friends. You're the brave, selfless warrior I've looked up to since I first joined the guild. I'm not, Alia. That's the thing. I'm not. What are you talking about? Alia, I'm not Evra. I'm not the warrior who first joined the guild and became a vassal years ago. Alarmed, I shuffle away from Evra, shaking my head in confusion. Of course you are. Don't be silly, Evra. If it's a prank, it's not very funny. If this is a joke, it's not funny. I'm telling the truth. That was a Yandere simulator reference. I'm telling the truth. Haven't you noticed any differences in my personality? Can't you tell there are changes? Not just over the years, but even just from day to day sometimes. Evra pauses, her voice lowering to a murmur. I guess not so much in these recent times, since I don't really log out often.
Ah! Yes! There it is! I fucking knew it! Yes!
I open my mouth to deny her argument, but my mind flashes back to the faint memories of the Evra I first met when I joined the guild almost 6 years ago. The hot and coldness of her attitude last few years, the words refused to leave my mouth. At my hesitation, Evra's lips curl upward into a bitter smile. She continues, The truth is, I'm not Evra. My real name is Evelyn. I'm a player from another realm, one we call Earth. Oh, I'm shaking right now. I'm like, oh! What? Ignoring my baffled exclamation, Evra presses on. You see, my world, Earth, is a realm very different from yours, full of advanced technology and machines that can accomplish things that you people would never even dream of. Nothing is impossible for us, including connecting two entirely separate worlds and minds together. Evra, have you gone mad? Are you feeling all right? That voice cracked, though. I reach out in concern to press my hand against her forehead, but Evra brushes my hand away, impatiently shaking her head. I'm telling you the truth. Please listen to me. In our land, there's a popular...
Oh! I was right! I was right all along!
Oh, I'm so happy!
I was fucking right the whole time! I was right.
Oh, sorry, just let me bask in my rightness. Ah, so happy. In our land, there's a popular type of entertainment called VR MMORPGs. People, players, gather together in an alternate reality, where they can become anything their hearts desire and live out a second, better life. I don't know how, and I don't know why, but it appears that your world of AIRIS is a game. A virtual reality MMORPG where us Earthlings can possess the bodies of the vassals in the guild who explore the land. Oh my god. I was right. I was right all along! Even though Everett's continuous use of unfamiliar terms only served to confuse me further, there's this inkling deep inside of me that seems to understand what she's saying, that seems to recall this explanation. At some point during Everett's word vomit, she has leapt up from the couch and begun pacing the room, a tortured expression on her face. I don't really know what's going on, honestly. We were never told, never given a single hint about the fact that this world is real, that our characters are real. Up until a year ago, I was still in the dark about all this. I was just another lucky player who managed to snag a copy of the highly exclusive and expensive VR MMORPG called AIRIS that promised a gaming experience that has a never before seen level of immersiveness and realism. I make a confused sound deep in my throat, wanting to speak, but Ever shakes her head, signaling for me to stay quiet. Wait, I need to get all of this off my chest first before I lose my nerve. Ever takes a deep breath and exhales loudly before continuing. When I first logged into the game, I did find it slightly strange how we were highly restricted when we were creating our characters to represent us in the game, not only being able to filter a list of preset designs by gender, hair, and eye color. After all, what century is this? Why were we not allowed to customize everything about our characters down to the moles and length of fingers? I thought it was hilarious and fascinating how our characters live lives on their own while we aren't logged into the game. It was an interesting gimmick in the context of an MMORPG, reminiscent of the old simulation games like Sims series. Ah, probably why AIRIS is so widely regarded as mysterious and innovative. Turns out, all this is because of the characters and worlds are real. We aren't creating fake characters in an alternate reality. We are borrowing the bodies of real people in a real land. Our perceptions are altered by filters inherently installed in the game to prevent us from seeing and hearing the truth from the people of AIRIS. Characters that we believe are merely controlled by artificial intelligences and bots. Finally, unable to resist, the words burning on the tip of my tongue rush out of me in an angry torrent. Okay, Everett, this is not funny anymore. You need to stop messing with my mind. What's this crazy story about? You have yet to even answer my original question. Why is your brute glowing? Because when a player is logged in, it's indicated by their gem glowing and a name above their heads. That's how the people of this town, not in the guild, non-player characters, know when to switch to their rehearsed lines to not raise the suspicion of the players. I fall silent, my chest heaving, my stare fixated on Ever in disbelief. Please don't look at me. Please don't look at me accusatory like that. I don't know what's going on, Alia. I barely know more than you do. I only found out all this because... A sudden blush spreads across her cheeks and she turns away from me. I was bored at work after our latest rocket successfully launched, and I decided to hack into the code of my favorite MMORPG to see how the AIs work. I quickly discovered something isn't right. The code that should be there controlling the movements of the NPCs are missing. I can't explain further. You wouldn't understand the technical details. I held up a hand, stopping Ever from speaking further. She sucks in a breath, staring at me in uncertainty, and waits for my response. Okay, this sounds absolutely insane, but I promise I tried to believe your explanation, so I'm going to assume for the first time, being that everything you just said is true. If what you say is true, and as soldiers are periodically possessed by your people, shouldn't we know about it? I assume that somehow when the player is logged in, the soldier consciousness lies dormant in their mind until the player logs out. From what I gathered during my personal experience, mixing in with the supposed AIs, the vassals retain all memories of the time when the player is controlling the body. So the vassals remain unaware that their actions during the period of time were not their own. Surprised at Evra's quick and clear explanation, I bite my lip and move on to the next question to try and refute Evra's story. Okay, fine. Even if we can't tell if we are being possessed, surely we should be able to tell the difference when our friends and party members are being possessed. Us players have our perceptions altered by a filter. Who says yours don't as well? Especially when mind-altering magic already exists in AIRIS, it's not difficult to alter your perception and memory so that anything that is related to the other realm is filtered away, unable to be processed by your mind. Well, at least for the vassals. Somehow, for some reason, your people appear to know about this. Everyone in town is in on this. They must have agreed to this arrangement since they play their roles as NPCs when us players are present. I can't help but bark out an incredulous laugh, crossing my arms in front of my chest. Now you've definitely gone mad. That's absolutely ridiculous. I think I can tell if my memories are real or not. Then explain this. Evra taps the still glowing brooch in front of her chest, her shoulders slumped in exhaustion. Unable to find a proper response to Evra's challenge, I fall silent. You said you'd believe anything I tell you, no matter how crazy it sounds. Please believe me when I'm telling you this. I promise you it's the truth. The chaotic storm in my mind brews on, and I clutch at my head, almost too confused to form an argument anymore. But if you're right, then why can't I understand what you're saying? Why can't I see your glowing brooch? Shouldn't I be unable to process all of this because of the mind-altering spell? I think the magic that should be filtering and altering your memories and perception is failing for some reason. I think that's why you've been having blackouts and hours unaccounted for in your memory, instead of remembering what your player has done while logged in and being unaware of the temporary possession. As one may say, because of this fading spell you notice the holes and gaps in your memory. My eyes widen as I process her explanation, and despite my absolute reluctance, the remaining pieces of doubt fall away. The puzzle pieces all fit together. It makes sense. It feels right. Yet at the same time, it doesn't. This is the most ridiculous tale I've ever heard, and part of me wants to laugh, but I'm afraid I might burst into confused tears instead. Evra seems to sense my inner turmoil, and she steps closer, concern written all over her face. Aelia, are you alright? Yes? No, I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. So do you believe me? Do I believe Evra's insane story? How can this possibly be true? Yet, why do I get the feeling she's speaking the truth? I'm gonna say I do. I do. It sounds absolutely wild and crazy and out of this world, but I can see the honesty and conviction in Evra's eyes. I believe her. I don't want to, but I do. I give her a small nod, indicating my belief, and Evra's relief is blatant on her face. Thank you for believing me, Aelia. She takes a step closer, but I immediately back away, shaking my head. A horrifying realization is slowly dawning on me as I glance at her brooch again, the memories I've shared with Evra ever since we became friends flashing through my mind. How long? The real Evra. Evra tilts her head in confusion. What is it, Aelia? Why are you looking at me like that? I told you nothing but the truth, I swear. I know, but that means you're possessing the real Evra right now, aren't you? How often do you possess her body and rob her of her freedom? 15 hours a day? 20? More? Evra's eyes instantly dim in guilt, and she bites her lip, reaching out to touch my arm. Aelia, please don't be mad. It's not like that. Is it not? Anger leaps up within me, and I dodge Evra's hand, ignoring the hurt flickering across her face. I'm suddenly overwhelmed by this absolute rage deep inside me. And even though I know it's not completely directed at her, nor does she deserve all this anger, I can't help but lash out. You lied to me. You've been lying to me all this time. You knew what was going on and why I was having blackouts, but you never told me. There's a desperate glint in Evra's eyes, and she grabs my arm in panic. Aelia, I couldn't. I wanted to, but I thought you had the magic altering your mind. You did until I realized it's been fading on you when you mentioned seeing your brooch glow, and then that incident in the dungeon. I really did want to, and I'm telling you the truth now, aren't I? I twist my arm out of Evra's grasp, barely feeling the pain when I accidentally caused my recent shoulder injury to flare up. No, Evra! Or should I say, Evelyn? Even worse than lying to me, you've been pretending to be someone you aren't. You're an imposter! Get out of Evra's body at once! Tears are now glittering in Evra's eyes, and I quickly push away the tiny twinge of guilt in my chest. No, she is the one at fault, not me. I'm sorry. I know it's no excuse, but I honestly only wanted to continue investigating this whole business. You're right. Whatever reason you have is no excuse. Get out. I don't want to hear your excuses anymore. Aelia, please listen. Get out! Evra sends me another helpless look, but this time she obeys my request, walking towards the door. Aelia, please, would you... No! Grabbing her shoulders, I give her a final shove until she's outside of my house, and I slam the door in her distraught face. Evra bangs on the door, yelling apologies and pleading for a chance to explain, but I ignore her. Only when I'm certain Evra has left do I let myself slide down the door to the floor, my head in my palms, confused tears streaming down my cheeks. Oh. I was fucking right, bitches! I was right! I am so happy about that. I was right all along. You don't know how that just makes me so happy that I was actually right about it. Oh. I'm so happy. Okay, if you guys enjoyed this episode of AIRIS, and I know I did, leave a like down below, leave a comment down below, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't to ring that notification bell, and remember, die safely. Bye-bye!